Have you ever wondered what people are truly like when no one is watching? What would you do if the man you ignored, judged, or mistreated turned out to be the very person who signed your paycheck? Stay with me until the end, because this story will touch your heart, and if it does, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs a reminder of the power of kindness. It all began on a cold Monday morning. The city was waking up, horns blaring, coffee shops opening, workers rushing through the streets with tired eyes and heavy bags. Outside the headquarters of a massive company, one that many dreamed of working at, sat a man most people barely noticed. He was wrapped in old blankets, his beard messy, his clothes torn, and his hands trembling as though he hadn't eaten in days. To anyone passing by, he was just another homeless man blending into the background of the city. But what nobody knew was that this homeless man was in fact Mr. Richard Cole, the CEO of the very company whose employees were walking past him. Richard wasn't just any CEO. He was wealthy, powerful, and respected in business circles, but deep inside, he had grown restless. He wanted to know what his employees were truly made of. Were they compassionate? Did they treat others with dignity when no one was watching? Or were they only kind to people when there was something to gain? So he made a decision that shocked even himself. He disguised himself as a homeless man and spent a week sitting outside his own company. On that first day, hundreds of employees walked past him. Suits, ties, polished shoes clicking against the pavement. Some glanced at him with disgust. Others looked away quickly, as if making eye contact would cost them something. A few whispered jokes. "Another lazy bum," one man muttered. "Probably looking for drug money," said another, shaking her head. Richard sat silently, his heart heavy. He had spent years building a company he thought was built on values, respect, and unity. Yet here he was, invisible to the very people who preached teamwork inside the walls of his empire. The second day brought a little hope. A young receptionist named Anna stopped by before work. She didn't have much, but she handed him a steaming cup of coffee and said softly, "Stay warm, sir." Later, a janitor named Luis dropped off a sandwich and whispered, "I know it's not much, but I hope it helps." These gestures were small, yet to Richard, they felt like a light cutting through darkness. He scribbled their names in his notebook, his heart swelling with gratitude. But alongside these bright moments, he faced harsh words. A group of managers joked about him while smoking outside the building. "Can you believe the city lets people like that sit outside our company? It ruins the image," one of them said. They laughed, not knowing the man they mocked signed their bonuses. Richard's eyes stung, not from the cold, but from heartbreak. On the third day, Richard tested his employees further. He approached a few, asking softly if they had spare change or food. Some ignored him entirely, walking faster as if he carried a disease. One woman snapped, "Get a job. Everyone's hiring. Stop being lazy." Another said, "People like you are the reason taxes are so high." But then came a quiet, gentle soul, Sarah, a mid-level accountant. She stopped, looked him in the eyes, and instead of handing him money, she sat down next to him on the cold pavement. "Sir, are you okay?" she asked. Richard nodded, trying to hold back his emotions. Sarah told him about local shelters, gave him directions to a food bank, and even offered to buy him lunch. She didn't treat him like trash, she treated him like a human being. That night, Richard couldn't sleep. He thought of Sarah, Anna, and Luis. And he also thought of the managers who mocked him. His heart was torn. How could one company hold both kindness and cruelty under the same roof? By the fifth day, Richard had heard it all. The good, the bad, the ugly. He had been spat on by a stranger walking past. He had been kicked lightly by a young intern rushing to work, who didn't even apologize. And yet, he had also received a warm scarf from Luis, and Sarah had checked in on him again. But the moment that truly broke him came late in the evening. A group of his employees, 3 young men in sharp suits, walked out laughing. They spotted him and began mocking his appearance, making cruel jokes. One even pretended to toss him coins before pulling his hand back, laughing hysterically. Richard's eyes filled with tears. He had built a multi-million-dollar company, provided jobs, health benefits, and opportunities. Yet some of his people saw him as less than dirt. He went home that night, washed off his disguise, and stared at himself in the mirror. He wasn't just hurt. He was heartbroken. The next Monday, Richard walked into the office, not as a homeless man, but as the CEO everyone knew. The employees greeted him respectfully, but this time, he saw through their polished smiles. Later that day, he called for a company-wide meeting. Hundreds gathered, curious about the sudden announcement. Richard walked to the stage, holding the same torn jacket he had worn in disguise. The room went silent. "I spent the last week outside this very building," he began, his voice trembling. "Not as your CEO, but as a homeless man. Many of you walked past me. Some of you mocked me. Some of you ignored me. But a few of you treated me with kindness." Gasps filled the room. Faces turned pale. The cruel-laughed managers lowered their heads in shame. Richard continued, "A company is not just about profits. It is about people. If we cannot show compassion to a stranger outside our door, how can we claim to build a future inside these walls?" He then publicly thanked Anna, Luis, and Sarah, rewarding them with promotions and recognition. As for those who mocked him, he didn't fire them, but he gave them a warning: change the way you see people, or this company is not for you. That day, something shifted inside the company. Employees began treating not just each other, but everyone around them, with more respect. Richard's bold experiment had opened their eyes. But more importantly, it left a lesson for everyone who hears this story: you never know who you're looking down on. The person you mock today might be the one writing your future tomorrow. So, as you finish watching this story, ask yourself, how would you have treated that man? Would you have walked past, or would you have stopped, even for a moment, to show kindness? If this story touched your heart, let it be more than just a video. Let it be a reminder to choose compassion in your everyday life. And before you go, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who might need this lesson today. Because kindness costs nothing, but its impact is priceless.